the 2025 film Him has already sparked intense discussions among critics and audiences alike, positioning itself as one of the year's most polarizing and thought-provoking cinematic experiences. Marketed as a psychological thriller with religious horror undertones, Him is less concerned with delivering jump scares and gore than it is with unsettling viewers on a deeper, almost spiritual level. The movie taps into primal fears about authority, devotion, and the search for meaning, while simultaneously presenting itself as an intimate character study. At its heart, Him is a story about faith, obsession, and the fine line between salvation and damnation. Although Him is not part of an established franchise, it arrives in a cinematic landscape saturated with horror sequels, reboots, and remakes. This immediately gives it an edge. It feels fresh, daring, and unconcerned with safe formulas. Instead, the film carries the DNA of earlier, more experimental psychological horror films that pushed boundaries in their time. Viewers will find echoes of Darren Aronofsky's Mother, 2017, Robert Eggers' The Witch, 2015, and even classic works such as Rosemary's Baby, 1968, in its DNA. Like those films, Him is not content with surface-level scares. It digs deeper, unsettling the mind rather than merely startling the senses. The cultural backdrop of Him is also important. In a time when questions of faith, morality, and institutional power are at the forefront of global conversations, the film feels timely, almost eerily so. It does not preach a specific message, but rather places its audience inside a world where devotion and manipulation collide, forcing them to grapple with their own understanding of faith and authority. This makes Him more than just a movie. It's a conversation starter, a work designed to linger in thought long after the credits roll. The plot of Him follows a protagonist who becomes entangled in a spiritual and psychological journey centered on a mysterious figure referred to only as Him. From the outset, it's unclear whether this figure represents God, a prophet, a cult leader, or something else entirely, and the brilliance of the film lies in maintaining that ambiguity throughout. The protagonist's struggle is both external, as they navigate rituals, followers, and unsettling events, and internal, as they wrestle with guilt, devotion, and their own fragile identity. Themes of power, devotion, and vulnerability dominate the narrative. Him forces its characters and its audience to question how far one should go in the name of belief, and what happens when belief is manipulated for control. The film also engages with the idea of sacrifice, what it means, who demands it, and whether it is ever truly voluntary. The deeper into the story one goes, the more blurred the lines between love and control, salvation and destruction become. One of the film's greatest achievements is its atmosphere. From the first scene, the tone is oppressive and unsettling, created through a masterful combination of visual and auditory elements. The cinematography is hauntingly beautiful, filled with sharp contrasts between light and shadow. Stained glass windows, candlelit chambers, and narrow hallways are captured in ways that make them both sacred and sinister. Every frame feels carefully constructed to evoke both awe and unease. The sound design and score are equally effective. Rather than relying on traditional horror cues, the music is minimalistic, low, droning notes, sudden silences, and faint echoes that make the viewer lean in with discomfort. At times, the lack of sound is more unsettling than noise. When the score swells, it does so in subtle, almost ritualistic ways, amplifying the feeling that something larger than the characters and perhaps larger than the audience lurks just beyond understanding. The performances are another highlight. The lead actor delivers a tour-de-force portrayal of a character consumed by inner conflict, torn between devotion and doubt. Every gesture and expression communicates layers of vulnerability, fear, and yearning. The supporting cast adds texture, portraying followers, skeptics, and authority figures who orbit around him in ways that feel authentic and chilling. Importantly, The film never paints any character as one-dimensional. Even those who might seem like villains at first reveal shades of humanity, which only makes the story more unsettling. The direction deserves special praise. The filmmaker demonstrates remarkable confidence in letting tension simmer. Instead of rushing toward payoffs, scenes are allowed to breathe, drawing viewers deeper into the protagonist's mindset. Symbolism and visual metaphors are woven seamlessly into the story without relying on over-explanation, leaving room for audience interpretation. This artistic restraint is rare in modern mainstream cinema and makes him feel like a bold entry in 2025's film lineup. Weaknesses where him struggles for all its strengths. Him is not without flaws. The most noticeable issue is pacing. The film deliberately moves at a slow, almost meditative pace, which can be rewarding for patient viewers, but frustrating for those expecting a more traditional horror experience. Some scenes linger on symbolic imagery for so long that they risk feeling indulgent rather than impactful. Another weakness lies in the dialogue. While thematically rich, some exchanges lean too heavily into metaphor and symbolism, occasionally coming across as pretentious. This risks alienating audiences who may feel the film is trying too hard to be profound. The ambiguity of the story, though one of its strengths, may also frustrate those who prefer clear resolutions. The ending in particular is divisive. It refuses to tie the narrative together neatly, instead leaving questions unanswered and interpretations wide open. For some, this is a mark of brilliance. For others, it is unsatisfying. Despite these flaws, Him is absolutely worth watching because it dares to be different. It doesn't just entertain, it provokes. It unsettles, not only with imagery, but with ideas. It challenges audiences to reflect on the nature of faith, the dangers of blind devotion, and the complexity of human longing for meaning. Unlike many horror films that provide temporary thrills, Him stays with you long after the credits roll, haunting your thoughts and sparking debates. For cinephiles, Him offers a masterclass in visual storytelling and sound design. For casual moviegoers, it provides a gripping, if unconventional, narrative that can spark conversations about morality, authority, and belief. And for horror fans, it delivers a unique kind of terror less about monsters or blood, more about the horrors that exist within human devotion and manipulation. What sets Him apart in 2025's cinematic landscape is its willingness to engage with cultural anxieties about religion, leadership, and personal freedom. In an era where people around the world are questioning institutions and authority figures, the film's themes feel particularly resonant. It asks whether devotion can ever be pure, or whether it always carries the risk of exploitation. From a cinematic perspective, Him positions itself alongside modern classics of psychological horror. Its emphasis on atmosphere over spectacle recalls the works of filmmakers like Ari Aster and Robert Eggers. Yet it manages to carve its own identity through bold choices in pacing, performance, and imagery. If nothing else, Him will likely be remembered as one of 2025's most daring films, polarizing, yes, but undeniably impactful. Him is not a film for everyone, and that is precisely its strength. Those who go in expecting a conventional horror experience may leave frustrated by its slow pace, ambiguous storytelling, and refusal to offer easy answers. But those who approach it with patience and an openness to interpretation will find themselves rewarded with a layered, unsettling, and thought-provoking experience at its core. Him is about humanity's search for meaning and the dangers that arise when that search is placed in the wrong hands. It is haunting not just because of what happens on screen, but because of the questions it plants in the mind. Who do we follow? Why do we believe? And what do we sacrifice in the name of devotion? In a year filled with sequels and safe blockbusters, Him stands out as a daring piece of original cinema. It may divide audiences, but it will not be forgotten. Whether you love it or hate it, Him demands to be experienced, discussed, and remembered as one of 2025's most bold and unsettling films.